Hello and welcome to another edition of Weather or Not. I'm your host, Matt Yarosewick.
And I'm your forecaster, Christopher Tate.
And Chris, I know we started the week off unseasonably warm, and actually now the temperature's starting to head back down a little bit.
Yeah, so the beginning of this week started 10 to 15, some areas even 20 degrees above average. But Matt, by the end of this week into next week, we'll be a couple degrees below average. It's about time this time of year.
Yes, it's about time. We're heading into fall. All the leaves are finally starting to change, and then we're heading toward Halloween, so we love to see those temperatures not in the 90s, but heading back down to more seasonable temperatures. Yes. So Chris will have all that coming up on the short range forecast, and he'll be back again later with the extended forecast, taking us through next week. Also on tonight's show, we have a feature by Mike Susko on the student clubs here in the Department of Meteorology. But first, here's Nature in the News. The largest alligator ever caught in the United States was missing for several days in Beaumont, Texas last week. The 15-acre property home to the gator, known as Big Tex, as well as about 1,000 other alligators, was underwater. Tropical storm Imelda dropped 43 inches of rain on the alligator sanctuary, which caused major flooding and trouble finding some of the alligators. The property, known as Gator Country, had an issue with flooding from Hurricane Harvey in 2017. They took the necessary measures to avoid any alligators getting out of the fences that line the property. Somehow, Big Tex, the 14-foot, nearly 1,000-pound monster, slipped under the radar for about 3 days. Gator Country told local residents if they see the gator, don't approach and call authorities so that they can safely catch and move the alligator back to his home. Luckily, Big Tex did not get out of the property. As the floodwaters did recede, the gator was found near a large pond at the back of the property. Residents in the area are relieved, to say the least.
Often, we celebrate when rain arrives after a long, dry stretch. The grass on our lawn is greener, the air feels fresher, and rivers and creeks bubble once again. But an insurgence of rain is exactly what is not needed in the southwestern United States. A warming Earth is leading to amplification of the hydrologic cycle, which explains how water moves around our planet. This is leading to more frequent precipitation extremes in the usually semi-arid forests in the Southwest. A study published by the University of Arizona College of Agriculture and Life Sciences finds that even if average precipitation amount does not change on an annual level, wetter wet seasons and drier dry seasons inhibit tree growth and can lead to slower forest growth and ultimately threaten some species of trees. The researchers cite the dual importance of reforestation and maintenance of our existing forests in helping preserve our climate.
Last Friday, a NOAA Hurricane Hunter aircraft was en route to fly a research mission into Hurricane Lorenzo. The Category 4 beast rapidly strengthened in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, with winds topping out at 140 miles per hour. The plane was diverted on its way there to assist in a search and rescue mission. Hours before the plane took off, French authorities received a distress signal from an offshore tug vessel named the Bourbon Road. The vessel was in transit back to the Caribbean island where it was stationed when it passed too close to Hurricane Lorenzo, getting caught in large swells. The boat was estimated to be just 60 nautical miles from the center of Lorenzo last Thursday night, hours before the distress call was issued. The hurricane hunters, along with several large container ships, assisted in the search and rescue mission. On Saturday, a press release stated only 3 of the 14 crew members were found floating in the lifeboat. The remaining crew confirmed that the Bourbon Road had sank after taking on water from the large swells in the middle of the hurricane.
As the climate warms and fossil fuel reserves slowly dry up, individuals and cities around the world are looking to sources of renewable energy to power their homes and businesses. And as renewable technologies get more advanced, their cost of implementation drops. Renewable energy has become widespread enough and inexpensive enough that Canberra, Australia's capital city, will begin using solely wind and solar farms to power the city of 400,000 starting in January 2020. A report published by the policy think tank the Australia Institute in Canberra notes that the country had established a goal to provide 33 terawatt hours of power just under 25% of the country's present usage through renewable sources by 2020, a goal they successfully met last month. Aided by political parties willing to invest heavily in renewable energy sources, Australia is quickly en route to having net zero carbon emissions, which will help to preserve the delicate Australian landscape. Well, if you've been poking your head out the door earlier this week, the middle of the week was hot, the weekend will not. Take a look. As we head into the end of the week, we have a little bit of a rain shield across much of the upper northeast and some of the northern tier of Pennsylvania associated with this low pressure system that's going to be bringing a little bit of rain to the northern tier. Just a couple clouds across much of central Pennsylvania. That's going to move out of the way quickly, though, as a high pressure system builds in out of central Canada, bringing much of the northeast and including central Pennsylvania. Lots of sun and hardly a cloud in the sky. It's going to be a beautiful Saturday, so get out and enjoy the weekend before the rain arrives on Sunday. We have some rain moving in out of the Midwest associated with a low pressure system that's going to be developing over the northern Rockies and sliding its way across the country fairly quickly, and we'll be seeing some of that rain mid to late afternoon on Sunday. For Friday, though, 60 degrees will be your high temperature under a partly cloudy sky. A fairly comfortable day here in Happy Valley. Temperatures getting a little bit on the cool side overnight, down to around 40. Those clouds are going to be dissipating some. And then Saturday we have the football game. Purdue plays Penn State out at Beaver Stadium. Temperature is going to be right around 55 degrees for the noon kickoff under a lot of sun. And once again, we'll be heading to a high right around the 60-degree mark. And then on Sunday, like I was saying, the rain's going to start to move in from the Midwest. AM clouds turn to PM rain, so we are expecting that rain in the afternoon and evening hours here in central Pennsylvania. Temperature climbing right to around 66 degrees. Stay tuned. Mike Susko is back with a feature on some of the clubs in the Department of Meteorology.
There are thousands of clubs here at Penn State, many of which reside here in the Department of Meteorology and Atmospheric Science, where students can get a first-hand look at what they would like to do after graduation. One of those clubs is the Storm Chase team at Penn State.
Actually go on a storm chase trip after the spring semester in the first 2 weeks of May, where we drive out, we take our own cars out to the Midwest, and we chase tornadoes for 2 weeks.
Chasing tornadoes is no simple task and poses many threats to those who try to get up close to them. That is why it is vitally important to do your homework.
We'll have guest speakers, maybe, famous storm chasers, maybe someone at the Storm Prediction Center come talk to us.
In addition to talking with experts in the field, members study severe thunderstorms throughout the year and how to be safe during them. Those who are selected to go on after an application and interview process then to get to really see what the Storm Chase team is all about.
The biggest thing that Storm Chase brings to our members is to take what they know, what they've been learning in the classroom, and apply it to the real world. In the classroom we don't really get this experience that you can just go and watch a supercell spinning and dropping a tornado in the plains.
For those interested in forecasting and communicating the weather, the department has the Penn State Campus Weather Service, the largest student-run forecasting organization in the nation.
We have over 100 student meteorologists that have some sort of hand in our weather forecasting operation, whether that be just simply making a web forecast for 11 different regions across Pennsylvania, or maybe they come down here to the studio and do some sort of video forecast. Maybe upstairs in our radio booth they'll provide a radio forecast for a client, and basically both the forecasting and the communications people work together to ultimately deliver our mission to the public, which is to provide them with accurate and reliable weather forecasts for Pennsylvania.
A key part of the Campus Weather Service is students being able to get hands-on experience the moment they walk through the door.
It's actually a great opportunity to especially get your feet wet when you're first starting out here at Penn State. Many students, this is where they get their start in basically almost any sort of area of meteorology that they go into. So many people who go into TV, they get their start by doing a video for Campus Weather Service. People who go on to become operational forecasters, maybe one of their first ever forecasts or forecast discussions starts at the Campus Weather Service level, where they're able to sort of put the knowledge that they've already had with their own experiences forecasting, combined with new experiences that are taught usually by upperclassmen to them, and they can sort of make their own forecast off of that, and then ultimately that leads them to kind of their career path, which is eventually becoming a full-time forecaster for some part of the country, which I think is really cool.
Around for over 45 years, Campus Weather Service has built a reputation and special bond with its audience all across the state.
Create a forecast that's going to be listened to, it's going to be trusted. We have a very big social media presence. On Facebook, we have over 2,000 likes on our page. On Twitter, we have over 6,000 followers. And I think in the big picture of things, I think that really says a lot, that people are willing to put so much trust into hardworking students that are just trying to deliver a very simple message, and that's basically to prepare you for any weather that's going to come your day on a certain day.
Meteorology goes beyond the traditional realms of operational forecasting, TV, and research. Recently, more and more meteorologists are finding their niche in the business world with risk management and insurance.
Weather Risk Management Club is a professional organization that we have in the department, and it's an opportunity for underclassmen to learn about what weather risk is and possible jobs they can have with it, and what our alumni are doing.
With roughly a third of the U.S. GDP impacted directly by the weather, it is no wonder why companies are interested in meteorologists.
Well, a lot of it has to do with how weather affects the business. That's where we're being placed in jobs. So a lot of it's insurance. We do catastrophe risk modeling, which is discovering how much a cost of a certain type of storm and like storm strength would have on an area.
Another area of weather risk is commodities. The Weather Risk Club prepares its members to enter this field by simulating real-world energy trading.
Simulate what trading energy futures on a real market would be. So we use the real market prices and the real techniques, but it's not real money. So they get to learn how the market moves with the weather or even without the weather.
Whether it's the local science fair, students getting their feet wet in broadcasting, forecasting, or the trading sector, there's plenty you can do here with the clubs in the Department of Meteorology and Atmospheric Science at Penn State. For Weather or Not, I'm Mike Susko.
And we're back with your extended forecast. We're going to start things off with a quick weekend recap. Friday should be a fairly pleasant day. Partly cloudy skies warming up to around 60 degrees. Then Saturday, my pick of the weekend, abundant sunshine. Also a high around 60 degrees, a low a little bit warmer, right around 46. And as we head into the day on Sunday, may see a little bit of afternoon and evening rain crossing through parts of central Pennsylvania, and a little bit warmer as well, up to around 66 degrees on Sunday. Our extended forecast taking you into the first full week of October, gradually cooling. It is going to be generally sunny, even though we do have a little bit of rain to deal with. You can see both on Friday to end the week and Monday to start the week, we may see a little bit of rain across central Pennsylvania as we have a couple of systems that will be passing through the area. But as you can see, temperatures are going to be on the decline a little bit as we head through the beginning of next week.
Which is exactly where we like to see temperatures around this time of year.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we don't like to see those temperatures around 80 or above this time of year. And earlier on the show, we actually asked you a whiz quiz question dealing with these higher temperatures. That question was, what is the highest temperature on record in State College for the month of October? Was it A, 85 degrees, B, 89 degrees, C, 90 degrees, or D, 93 degrees? And the answer is C, 90 degrees. We actually had a 90-degree day back in October of 1941.
And it was October 7th, to be exact, a very historic day for Pennsylvania weather as a whole. Thankfully, no historic weather on the horizon in Pennsylvania, at least for the next week to 2 weeks.
Yes, and it will be very pleasant across the region with those temperatures back down around average where we like to see them this year. That's all the time we have on this episode of Weather or Not. For all of us here, I'm your host, Matt Yarosewick.
And I'm your forecaster, Christopher Tate.
Come back and join us next week for another episode, and have a great night.